Hello everyone, this is Lawrence doing another album find video from thrift stores. I posted one a few weeks ago. I had a nice score the other day at the Salvation Army thrift store, which has been pretty dry, but I'm pretty persistent on checking it every other day. And they've been dry for about a month and a half, but I had a nice score yesterday. Somebody had donated a bunch of country music albums from the 80s, religious country albums, so I picked out what I was interested in. And they were in such great condition that most of them still had shrink wrap along with the where they got it from, the Navy Exchange, and along with the record company sticker, the newest album by Ronnie Milsap has the hits, that type of thing. So I went through them all and picked out what I wanted. And I love country music, not the current mainstream pop country of today, but the country music I like is the old school stuff, and I like some of the newer artists who are old school, who are not part of that mainstream, Nashville thing. Sort of like memory block. Trying to think of an artist's name. Mario Price, people along those lines. Valerie June. Okay. So let me go through these albums. I don't want to keep this video too long. In my household growing up, my parents loved country music. It was played a lot. And this guy broke the racial barrier in country music. And I don't really need to tell you who he is. He was a great guy to do it, extremely talented, and boy, he could sing country music. I'm talking about Charley Pride. So, still in shrink wrap, the price, and this is like a best of. This kind of is renewing my interest in Charley Pride because, a little kid, I loved him, his music, but as I got older, I had other interest in music, rock and roll, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, Led Zeppelin, Elton John, and Charley got kind of cast over aside for a little bit, but I think finding these albums is going to renew my interest. This is probably the best country music live album I've ever heard. And it came out in 1969 as Charley's star was really on the rise, and he was really being accepted by the country music establishment and fans in person. And he covers two Hank Williams songs on here, Kalijah, which he does a great job, and last thing, Lovesick Blues, which he can really yodel, And you could see the condition these are. This had shrink wrap, but was just practically coming off. So this is going into a album sleeve. I'm going to keep these in the condition they're in. Charley Pride sings what songs? Sings heart songs. Okay, and this has Kiss an Angel on it. His really big hit. And boy, this still has shrink wrap. They're in perfect condition, and they still have the original inner sleeve. The type that the record companies put out that advertises other artists and their releases on the who's on that label. And the last album I got from Charley, and I really like this album cover. I mean, I've seen this type of album covers a lot with Tennessee Ernie Ford and Elvis and various other country artists who cover gospel and church music, but I really like this cover here. Charlie dressed up real nicely, standing firm in front of a, looks like a country church. Just look at him. Now listen to side one. I'm not really into religious music, but sometimes, you know, I can like it. It depends who the artist that does it, and if it's not over preachy too. And all of Charlie's albums on the backside always had his other albums that were available. He did pretty generic album covers, but it was the music that was count. So I'm going to get more Charlie Pride albums if I see them in good conditions at thrift stores. So this is a good start to get me interested again. This next album is from a artist. He was country, but he did other things too. And he is most famous for singing about historical American events. And I'm talking about Johnny Horton's greatest hits. Of course, the Battle of New Orleans, Sink to Bismarck, North to Alaska, When It's Springtime in Alaska, It's 40 Below, Whispering Pines, Johnny Reb, Johnny Freedom. I already have this album. It's in pretty good condition, but this was still in shrink wrap. It's like it's hardly ever been played, maybe once. Whoa, yeah, very clean. And so I went ahead and got it. These were all $1, so I can splurge a little bit. One thing I will say about Johnny Horton, I got a number of his compilations, including a 2-disc set of his best work. Although he was known for singing historical American songs, he was also a hell of a rockabilly singer too. So you go and check out his work. Go to Spotify or whatever streaming service. He could sing a really good rockabilly song, and he had a good voice. Tammy Wynette's greatest hits. I'm not really a big Tammy Wynette fan. I think I have 1 or 2 of her albums, but this is the greatest hits of her best known songs. Mint Condition, $1. It had the nice price sticker on it. Navy Exchange, $3.90, but I got it for $1, brand new condition. So why not? It has her Stand By Your Man, of course. Divorce, I Don't Want to Play House, Your Good Girl's Going to Go Bad, which I love that song, and various other, My Exclusive Dream. So looking so much to listening to this. Charlie Rich. This was the album that really crossed over to the mainstream. The album I think, went top 10, but 2 singles went top 10 as well, including The Most Beautiful Girl, which charted #1 Billboard single chart, and of course Behind Closed Door, which made the top 10. And what makes this one special, it's done in a quantaphonic there, okay? It's a new condition, and I pulled the album out, and the inner sleeve, this is really, really cool. This is almost a collectible. The inner sleeve, one side, it has advertisement for all the components that would play the quantaphonic effect. For you who don't know what quantaphonic is, it was a special stereo system, which I guess to make it sound 4-dimensional or something, and you need a special equipment. But quantaphonic albums could be played on any system. And my friend told me, although you're not playing it on a quantaphonic system, they made sure the masterings were real good, so you get a good mastered record there. So you got the sound of things to come, and all the units and some text there. And on the back, how quantaphonic works. This is really cool. And some listings of what's available in quantaphonic. Of course, that format has come and gone. It didn't stick around too long. Probably you needed this special equipment. I'm looking forward to listening to this album. Again, rediscovering it. 80s country music, my interest started to wane a little bit because I felt like it was going, the integrity of the music was being sacrificed too much for commercial success, which really happened accelerated in the 90s with Garth Brooks. But here's an artist who was popular in the 80s in the country music field, who has since retired and to spend time raising his family. So I take it that he made his money, so I'm going off to the golf course. He probably invested it very well. Ricky Van Shelton, Wild Eye Dream, and Loving Proof. Okay, Loving Proof had the hit from a Jack to a King. Two other hits too. And I didn't go for these albums at the time because for reasons I stated, I thought country was losing its roots and going too much into sacrificing too much for the mainstream, for mainstream success. And I looked at these album covers, country hunks, put a cowboy hat on, or a white cowboy hat. They're not really cowboy hat. I don't know what style you call that, but it's definitely Western and kind of look macho, But I went ahead and got these two albums anyway because they were, it's new condition, still in shrink wrap with the label sticker still on them. And I called up my friend and he said, yeah, Ricky's cool. He's old school. And so I got it home and listened to, scanned through, and this is great stuff. He had a great voice, and while the production is slick and modern, the spirit is still that old school honky tonk sound, So you can still smell the stale beer and the pool balls, shaped like when they're like that before they're being broken up. You can hear the pool balls, the sounds of them as the balls are breaking at the start of a pool game, and the waitress coming over to give you your orders of beer on the tray. So good. I'm glad I discovered Ricky. I miscalculated him, so I'm looking forward to really giving these a play. Ronnie Milsap, another artist who popularized, was big in country music in the late 70s into the 80s, and I found this album. Not a huge Ronnie Milsap fan, but I'm going to give this a fair listen to. And it's modern country music for that time, not a lot of twangy steel guitars, maybe a little bit here and there. The radio hit from this album is called "Lost in the 50s." My friend was over last night, and we played it, and it sounded really, really good. So we're going to give this a fair try. I guess the female counterpart, because she was blind too, was Terry, I can't remember her last name, but she was popular, Gibbs or whatever. I'm sure you will let me know. All, still in shrink wrap, new, person just kept them new. The original motion picture soundtrack, Coal Miner's Daughter. Okay, I'm getting a quick education on this. I haven't seen the movie, but getting this has sparked my interest. Put on my glasses here. Getting an airplane flying over. Okay, Coal Miner's Daughter soundtrack. Sissy Speckett, if I pronounce her name right. When I think she won the Best Actress for her role in playing Loretta Lynn's story. She actually did the vocals for about 7 of the songs on this album. And when my friend came over, he told me that, and I said, oh, she can't sound as good as Loretta Lynn. He said, you want to make a bet? So we put it on. I was shocked. I was shocked. If you told me this album, you put it on for me, it was Loretta Lynn's re-recording her big songs, I would have believed you. I mean, it was just that close. And it wasn't just, Sissy imitating Loretta. She was actually doing Loretta, putting the heart and soul into it, and she I'm convinced, could have made it as a singer. And I asked my friend, well, why didn't she go into singing? He said, well, she thought she didn't have much of a voice and she just sung in the shower. And he said the producers asked her, can you sing? And she said, not really. And they made her sing, well, let's hear you, And Loretta Lynn actually said she was a great singer. From what I heard of this album, they stuck pretty much to the arrangements and the songs. And there are 2 other artists, Beverly D'Angelo also sings, and Beverly actually played Patsy Cline in the movie, because Loretta and Patsy were good friends, okay? Patsy was kind of a mentor to Loretta, so it was a terrible loss when Patsy Cline died. And you got a couple of other artists. Beverly D'Angelo does Crazy, along with Walking After Midnight. I'm a honky-tonk girl, Sissy. So I really like the arrangement, them sticking to the arrangements, and the instrumentation. The musicianship is excellent. It was produced by Owen Bradley, who was famous. I think he produced Loretta, and also he produced Patsy. So he knew how to do it. He knew the ballpark. So this is great. I'm going to listen to this tonight. Okay, getting a little long than what I want it to be. I've actually got this album here in so-and-so condition, but I found one, this one was in there like new, as with all of these. And I'm talking about Bobby Goldberg's Greatest Hits. Of course, it has the song Honey, which is the tearjerkers of tearjerkers. Also, the funny little clown, which I always like, which Bobby wrote. And I listened to side 1, although it's really light-hearted listening. I enjoyed it. If you're in the mood. There's Bobby at an old, looks like a old grave. Okay, this is an excellent condition, like new. I mean, the person who had these records probably just played them once, and with the original United Artists label. Beautiful. The vinyl is in beautiful, shiny condition. And all of these albums are going into plastic sleeves. I'm going to keep them new. Okay, we're about to end here. Dr. Hook. Dr. Hook, Greatest Hits. And this contains, of course, Sylvia's Mother, the cover of Rolling Stone, and then looks like the rest of the songs as they got into really early 80s, where they found their niche, commercial niche, with really AM love songs. AM radio love songs are, very light, easy listening, which is all right. Sharing the Night Together, When You're in Love with a Beautiful Woman, Only 16. So, not a big Dr. Hook fan. I've already got one or two of their albums, but for $1, I figure I get this one. I'm sure I will enjoy it. The military flying over, the defense of this country. I feel safe. God bless them. This next artist, it is I consider got into the music of what I call the classic vocal period. That's the Tony Bennett's, the Frank Sinatra's, the Nat King Coles, the Billie Holidays, the Lena Hornes, the Nancy Wilson. Just great vocalists who just not only had a great voice and sang well, but they actually put art into their vocals, how they felt, really elevated the songs. And this next artist here belongs in that group, but he had more of a kind of a light-hearted approach to songs, which I like, and along with a great voice. Perry Como. This is Como's Golden Records. Although I own a lot of his albums, I went ahead and got this one because it's in new condition. I've always been told this was a good compilation, and it is. Now, after I pulled all these albums out and checked the condition, the process of elimination, I looked over to an area where the books were, and stashed away was this album, Benny Goodman, an album of swing classics. It's a box set with booklet, and I won't pull them all out, but 3 discs. Okay. I'll give you a little information. I said, oh, this is interesting, because I'm a big fan of swing, big band music, and the artists and band leaders who were instrumental in that genre of music. I consider, if I was a young person in the time of big band music, I would consider that my rock and roll. It's a lot of similarities because it had a big sound, played in big big ballrooms, big drum beats, loud horns. It was loud, very loud, although there's the soft side too, but it really swang, and that's kind of what rock music does. Rock music has roots in big band music. So anyway, 3-disc set put out by, I'll show you right here. I don't know if you could read that. The Classic Record Company, a division of the Book of the Month Club. So somebody belonged to the Book of the Month Club and ordered this. And it's in the sleeves or has that plastic coating to keep it rubbing against the paper. The 3 vinyls are in excellent condition, and the booklet is fascinating. And it says right here, recorded on location during engagements at New York Basin Street in 1955. So these are all live recordings. And the booklet has text along with pictures. Okay, which is great. So after big band music lost its popularity, all the band leaders started forming smaller units, sextets, and they had other names. I just can't name them right now because to maintain a big band music, that was pretty expensive. So once the music started losing popularity, the big band leaders just economize and started forming the sextets and the little combos. And so this is what these recordings are. The players, I know some of them because I'm really getting educated on jazz. I don't know everything. But a jazz person will know all these artists. Teddy Wilson, piano. Herbie Green, trombone. Ruby Ruff, trumpet. Milt Hinton, bass. Bobby Donaldson, drum. Perry Lopez, guitar. And Paul, I can't pronounce the last name, some kind of French name, tenor sax. So you've got a smaller unit, and what makes this so special is, you see, I've got Benny Goodman live stuff, but done at bigger venues, bigger concert halls. And I see the water meter person checking the water meters out there, and they actually do check, One time I took some baking soda and covered up the meter and checked it later to see if they really checked, and they did. Anyway, let me get back on the subject. These albums were recorded at big venues. This box set, the performances were done at more intimate setting clubs, and you have what makes it interesting when they're done that way. Part of the ambiance of the recordings is to hear the audience, clapping and a little chattering here, and they do it in such a way that it doesn't interfere with the music. It kind of makes it part of the music, what makes it so nice. And that's really cool. You can hear glasses clinking and a little bit of laughter here and there, and a little bit of applause coming in as the band is really kicking in, and a little chatter. It makes it really, really nice. So they're actually part of the performance. And I check discography. I don't buy albums to resell or flip. And this is going for a good price. And this is a 1967 release. It just happened to be stuffed in there with books. So nice to add to my collection. So I'm glad I found the albums. These albums before the flippers came in, because we've been having a problem with them. It seems like they want to spoil everything. While it's not against the law for them to buy albums and flip them, it just seems like they take the fun out of it for us people who enjoy collecting and enjoy the music. I mean, these all will be sold when I'm dead and gone and passed on to somebody else who will enjoy them. Please leave your comments. I appreciate that. I really dig comments. I don't get enough of them. Thumbs ups are good, but comments are heaven. I'm getting ready to do another video on how to spruce up album covers for albums you find at thrift stores. Please watch that as well. Take care. Bye-bye.